the hidden past. I am an old man now. I sit in my chair and look out of the window. The trees move with the wind and the birds sing. I close my eyes and I remember my young days. When I was a boy, I lived with my father, my mother, and my little brother. We lived in a small house. The house was not big, but it was full of noise and life. I thought it was a happy home. My brother was younger than me. He was small and always smiled. My parents gave him many nice things. He had new toys, new clothes, and sweet food. I watched him and I smiled, but sometimes I felt something inside. I did not understand at that time. I thought my parents loved us both. I thought love was always the same. But slowly I began to see a difference. My brother got the best things. I got less. At night I lay in my bed. I looked at the ceiling. I asked myself, why not me? Why does he get more? I did not say these words to my parents. I kept them in my heart. This was the start of my long story, a story I will now tell you. As the years passed, the difference grew. My brother always had the best things. He wore bright new shirts. He played with shiny cars and soft toys. My mother gave him sweet cakes and warm milk. I sat and watched. Sometimes I got old clothes. Sometimes I got nothing. When I asked for new shoes, my father said, later. But when my brother asked, he got them the same day. My brother smiled, and my parents smiled back. I tried to smile too, but inside I felt small and lonely. I wanted to believe my parents loved me. I wanted to believe I was the same as my brother. But the truth was hard. Every day I saw the love they gave him, and every day I saw the little they gave me. When we grew older, the difference was even bigger. My brother got a new bicycle. I walked. My brother had money in his pocket. I had none. I asked, why always him? But no one answered. Sometimes I sat alone in the yard. The wind was cold. I looked at the sky and asked myself, do they really see me? Do they care for me? I was young, but my heart felt heavy. I carried this question every day. I did not tell anyone. I just kept quiet. My brother was happy, my parents were proud, and I was silent. But in my heart, I began to understand. Something was not right. Something was not true. One day, when my brother turned 18, my parents gave him a car. It was small, but it was new and shiny. They laughed and clapped their hands. My brother jumped with joy. I stood in the corner and watched. No one looked at me. I was older, but I had nothing. No bicycle, no money, no car. I felt like a shadow in the house. My parents spoke to my brother with love. They gave him gifts and hope. To me, they gave silence. I started to wonder, was I really their son? Why was I different? Why was I always less? These questions grew in my mind like a storm, but I said nothing. I kept my words locked inside my heart. One night, I could not sleep. The moonlight came through the window. I sat up in my bed. I felt alone. I wanted answers. I wanted the truth. I thought, maybe the truth is hidden somewhere in this house. The next day, when everyone went out, I stayed home. My hands shook, but I walked to my parents' room. It was quiet. The air was heavy. I opened drawers. I moved books. I searched in boxes. My heart beat fast. At last, under a pile of old papers, I found one letter. It was yellow and old. I held it in my hands. My body felt cold. I knew this letter was important. It was waiting for me. I sat on the floor with the letter in my hands. My fingers shook as I opened it. The paper was thin and the words were clear. I began to read slowly. Each word cut deep into my heart. The letter said I was not their real son. It said I was adopted when I was a baby. My real parents could not care for me. So my father and mother in this house took me. They gave me their name, but not their love. I stopped reading. My eyes were wet. My chest hurt. Suddenly, everything made sense. The new clothes, the toys, the money, the car, all for my brother. The cold looks, the silence, the empty hands, all for me. I whispered to myself, so this is why. This is why I am different. This is why I am less. The truth was heavy. I held the paper close to my chest. For a moment, I felt both lost and free. When my parents came home, I said nothing. I smiled at dinner. I listened to their talk. My brother laughed and showed his car keys. I sat in silence, but inside I was not the same boy anymore. That night, I took the letter back to my room. I read it again under the small light. I knew what I had to do. I could not stay here. I could not live in this house of lies. My heart was ready to leave. The next morning I woke up early. The house was quiet. My parents were still asleep, and my brother was not home. I sat at my desk with a piece of paper. I picked up a pen. My hand was heavy, but I began to write. I wrote a letter to my parents. The words were simple. Thank you for raising me. Thank you for food and shelter. But I know the truth now. I am not your real son. I cannot stay here any more. My heart is broken. I must go and find my own life. I read the letter again and again. My eyes filled with tears. I placed the paper on the table in their room. I looked around one last time. The walls, the chairs, the photos. It was the house I grew up in, but it did not feel like home. I packed a small bag with clothes. I had no money, but I had my hands and my hope. I stood at the door for a long time. My heart beat fast. I was scared, but I was also ready. Then I opened the door and walked out. The sun was rising. The road was long, but it was mine now. I took my first step away from the house, away from the lies, and into a new life. I walked for many hours that day. The sun was hot and my feet were tired, but I did not stop. Each step took me farther from the house and closer to freedom. I was sad, but I also felt strong. Days turned into weeks. I found small jobs in villages. I worked hard. I carried wood. I cleaned. I cooked. People gave me food and sometimes a place to sleep. Slowly, I built a life with my own hands. I did not see my parents again. I did not see my brother, but in my heart I carried no hate. I carried only the truth. The truth gave me pain, but it also gave me strength. It pushed me to grow, to stand, and to live on my own. Now I am an old man. I sit in my chair and tell my story. I tell it not with anger, but with calm. Life was not easy, but I learned something. Family is not only about blood. Family is about love. Without love, a house is only walls. So I remember my past. I remember the boy I was, the letter I found, and the road I took. And I whisper to myself, I was strong. I survived. I lived my own life.